I'm Zoe Vokes, co-founder of Wild Revolution, a business that aims to help people live healthier lives. 3 years ago, I suddenly found myself feeling constantly exhausted. Doing normal, everyday things felt like climbing a mountain. The doctors ran every possible test and then told me I might have cancer, until I was finally diagnosed with acute adrenal fatigue syndrome. I had relentless chronic fatigue, was seriously depressed, and developed multiple food intolerances and severe hypoglycemia. So I had to avoid all sugar, which is almost impossible. I was forced to completely change my lifestyle and learn all about diet and nutrition, and found that the sugar alternatives can be just as damaging to your health. So you can imagine how ecstatic I was when I found the most healthy, natural, and unrefined sugar alternative. Not only is it not bad for you, it actually has a huge number of health benefits. It's really high in antioxidants, healthy cholesterol, and vitamin B. But its most amazing property is that it has no effect on blood sugar levels, making it totally safe for diabetics and hypoglycemics like me. So Wild Revolution was born to enable as many people as possible to benefit from this amazing product by selling it in stores and making a range of healthy foods that use it instead of sugar. Having cured myself through diet and now feeling healthier than ever, I can honestly say that I'm glad that I got ill. It gave me direction and purpose. I now know what I was brought into this world to do.
Thank you again for your patience. Again, we are a pilot, and we're very, very grateful for all your support and all our guest speakers who are so generous with our time.
That's okay. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. So I showed the audience the short video that you had submitted to Marie about your project, Wild Revolution. And I told them a little bit about how you were from where we met. Actually, interestingly enough, Zoe was in New Jersey last month. So I got to meet Zoe in person and to interview her, and she told me this incredible story about her journey up until today with all the health issues that she experienced as a child leading up to this illness that got her allergic to sugar. So, Zoe, so tell us leading up to your illness, can you share with the audience how you went about in your first product is Ketul, which is a sweetener that you told me in person that it actually is a sweetener also good for people with diabetes. So can you tell us the journey on how you went to do all your research and tell us all that story behind it?
Sure. So basically, I keep hearing myself coming back. Okay, that's better. So I was seriously ill about 4 years ago, and I was finally diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. I had no energy, I had severe depression, I had severe memory loss, I couldn't concentrate. I really felt like I couldn't kind of get out of bed. It was a really difficult time, and the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. They ran every test they could possibly think of. I think I had about 18 different blood tests in the span of about 2 weeks, and everything came back negative. And they were really confused by what it was, but I was told by a lot of them it's just depression or it's just chronic fatigue and you'll get better eventually, and you just have to kind of accept that it's going to take a while. And then eventually one of them actually asked me to have a full body CT scan because the only thing that they hadn't ruled out was cancer. So I kind of instinctively, I think, knew that it wasn't cancer, and I was only 20. I was only 20 at the time, and I could tell that it wasn't cancer, and I was easily affected by radiation, so I didn't have that scan. And finally, an alternative practitioner diagnosed me with this adrenal fatigue syndrome, where your adrenal glands have basically stopped functioning properly. So they control your hormones, your digestive system, your adrenaline, your cortisol. They control an awful lot of what goes on in your body. And so when I kind of discovered this, I was able to research about my illness and try and figure out a way to cure myself naturally. So I had to give up gluten and dairy because I found that I was quite severely intolerant to them. And then I found that sugar was the other big thing. If I ate any sugar, I would pass out. I mean, I'd have a sugar high of about 2 seconds, which was lovely whilst it lasted, and then crash, and I would be asleep for at least the rest of that day. Sometimes the next day, too, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed, which made things interesting. So, yeah, so we kind of started searching for a healthier sugar alternative to use, and we're kind of disappointed with what was available in the market, and also we're shocked by just how much stuff, how much produce in the supermarket actually contains sugar. So, we basically had to start making all of our own meals because you just can't start having, even soups, and it's just crazy. Everything contains sugar. So we started to kind of, we changed our diet dramatically, we changed our lifestyle dramatically, and went on a search for an alternative sugar. And my parents actually live in Sri Lanka. They have done for the last 6 years. So we went out there last summer, almost a year ago, slightly over a year ago, and I happened to be complaining actually to one of my friends about how it was quite difficult being away from home without having all of my different ingredients to make food and all this kind of stuff, and was complaining about making desserts. And one of my close friends said, "But Zoe, what do you mean? You can have kittel. It's totally safe for people with hypoglycemia or diabetes and that kind of thing." And so I was shocked. We were both shocked. And we did more research, and in Sri Lanka, a lot of the kittel that you can buy in the supermarket is adulterated. It's mixed with sugar. So it's obviously not great for me, and I was affected by that. But if you can get the pure stuff, the really pure stuff that is unadulterated, it was totally fine. And the more research we did, the more amazing things, we started to find out about kittel. So that's kind of how the journey came about, and that's how we discovered it. And we kind of went from there, because when we came back home to the UK with about 6 bottles of the stuff, and we're kind of worried about how we'd keep our supply up, and then realized that if it was benefiting us that much, actually it could benefit so many other people too.
Great. Now, Olly, on to you. What were you in this process? I read that you have celiac disease, and yes.
I haven't had the test for celiac disease because the doctors refused to give it to me. So it's not exactly confirmed, but yeah, I have a very bad intolerance to gluten and dairy as well. So I found that out about a year after I met Zoe, which was actually very convenient because anyway, we were both making all the same food, and Zoe had just got ill about 3 months after we met. So we were living together, and it just made a lot of sense for us to both eat the same food anyway. So it was actually quite convenient, and I'm glad that I found out about the gluten and dairy intolerance, and I now don't have it ever, and I'm vegan as well, so it's made a big difference to my health as well.
Fantastic. Okay, so during the process of finding the purest kittel, what were the challenges that came across, or limiting factors while you were developing this to bring over the number of bottles to the UK from Sri Lanka? Or first of all, to finding the purest form.
Well, it was quite hard to find pure kittel. There's a number of collectors and suppliers in Sri Lanka that are now trying to do 100% pure kittel. They've realized that there's a real benefit in doing that. And it took quite a few months and a lot of searching, and we were lucky enough to have my parents out there so they could actually go and visit some of the trees and some of the production facilities. The trees grow wild, so there aren't any plantations to visit. but they did a lot of the kind of on-the-ground research for us. But we have found an amazing supplier, actually, who is organic and fair trade certified, and also rainforest garden certified, which is a new certification that they've set up themselves. So it's really, really tasty Kittle. So it's we found a great supplier.
So the fact that you got into how many stores?
We're only in 2 stores at the moment because we purposely wanted to keep it very local, because it was only a pilot run, and there's quite a lot of interest in Kittle from other countries. So we didn't want to make a huge deal out of it until we were really ready. So we were just doing a pilot run, so we only had 250 bottles to sell. And so we went to a number of local shows, and then did a few in-store promotion days in the 2 local health stores near us. So we're really going to be in many more stores, particularly a couple of chains in London, health food chains in London, towards the beginning of next year, when we do a proper hard launch of Kittle in the UK.
So the fact that the inventory went really quickly, do you have the confidence that it'll be much easier for you to grow it, or what do you feel? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're not going to be a one product business, and I mean, really, Wild Revolution actually isn't about our product so much, but I'm sure we'll get onto that in a bit. But we have a number of products already in the pipeline, and it has certainly given us confidence. People are becoming more and more aware of the problems with having too much sugar, and are also becoming aware of the fact that a lot of the alternatives aren't really that much better. So I think there's a great demand for a product like this, not just in the UK, but certainly in the States and in Europe and and Australia, all these different places. There is really a growing demand for a much healthier alternative sugar. So I think hopefully it will go well.
Okay. You have mentioned that Kittle is your first product and you will come out with other product lines. However, Wild Revolution is a movement that you are focusing in. So can you tell us a little bit more about what Wild Revolution is about?
Yeah. So it's a complicated one.
It's a big stream.
It is a big, Wild Revolution, for us, Wild Revolution is a movement for change. We're really a business that wants to do things differently. We kind of envisage and believe in creating a healthier world. A world that's healthier for our bodies, healthier for our minds, and healthier for the planet as well. So our business, Wild Revolution, kind of rests on those 3 core principles. So all of the products that we produce are going to be extremely healthy always. They will be organic certified, they will be unprocessed, they will be unrefined. They will not contain preservatives or chemicals. They'll be the kind of foods that you can pick up and you'll be able to trust that it's going to do your body good and not do your body any harm. But we also think it's important that we're living in a time where climate change is really affecting a lot of people around the world, and we both feel very strongly about trying to do all that we can for the environment. So we're already looking at taking the steps towards making Wild Revolution a carbon neutral company. That's something that we're really, really set on, and we're trying to do everything in the most environmentally friendly way that we possibly can. And then finally, we really believe that it's important to support the farmers and the producers who help to create the products, but also to support other projects around the world that kind of share our vision of this healthier, better world. So we've decided that each of our products is actually going to help fund specific projects around the world. And we recently decided on the first project for Kittle to support. And I'll let Ollie tell you about that, actually.
So the first project that we want Kittle to help fund, basically, is through an organisation called Pencils of Promise. It's quite a new charity. It's been set up in New York, I think. And basically their idea is that education should be available to everyone, no matter where they come from and no matter what their resources. So for the last couple of years, they've been operating in 4 countries, building schools, teaching, training teachers and giving scholarships to kids so that they can go to school. So what we want to do is raise enough money to actually help them build a whole new school. And that's our first project, basically.
Yeah, so Wild Revolution is really much bigger than just its products. And what we've always said is that we want to really create not just a movement, but a community of like-minded people who are, who have the same beliefs and the same visions, and a place where they can help and support each other and feel connected to each other.
Do you have plans on how to reach out to these people, or is it too preliminary right now while you are investigating your direction?
I think we have some plans. I mean, our next big step is our crowdfunding campaign, which we're launching in mid-October. So we're hoping to get that out to a whole number of people so that they can really see what we're about and join if they want to. And then in terms of the movement, we're really thinking of trying to set up possibly a forum, and we want to hold events in the future that get thought leaders from around the world on health, spirituality, mindfulness, all the the environment, all these different things into one place so that people can come and really share and learn.
Great. I'm gonna open up the floor for questions.
Sure.
This
Hi,
is
Zoe.
Saron.
Hi Zoe, my name is
Hi.
Saron. Thank you and Oliver for doing the groundwork that you've done to, make a difference and help many people. My dad and brother both live with diabetes, and so it sort of resonates with me, what you're doing. Are you currently working to bring the product to market wholesale as well, the Kittle? Or is it just a retail size production?
At the moment, we are definitely working towards that. At the moment, the biggest restriction really is the supply.
Right.
Because the trees grow wild, they're
Of course.
totally, they're basically the sap is collected from the flowers of the tree by whichever farmer happens to live nearest. And then a collector has to go around all of these different remote farmers, collecting it all, bringing it back to a centre where they process it and put it and bottle it. So it's quite difficult for them to find all of the Kittle. They think that only about 10% of the Kittle trees in Sri Lanka are actually tapped at the moment. Most of them are just in the rainforests or in different areas where people aren't actually using them. So we're hoping that gradually things will expand and more farmers will get into the tapping. It's in Sri Lanka it's seen as quite an old-fashioned thing. They're not so interested in the Kittle anymore. They would rather be eating sugar like we do in the West. So it's
there's a process of kind of re-educating them and letting them see that actually it may be an old-fashioned thing to do, but actually it's something that's incredibly good for you. It's kind of making them realize that in the West we've kind of gone anti-sugar now and we're going backwards, and I think also there is quite a lot of supply even now, but there's not really enough to start for us to guarantee that we could meet the demands of other companies, that kind of thing. So and it's important for us that it remains sustainable. We don't want to just go into Sri Lanka, take all their Kittle and say bye. So it's a really important thing for us that it really remains sustainable, and we kind of keep a close eye on that. And we are also in the process of looking into creating our own Kittle farm, but one that is really environmentally friendly, all these kind of things. But it does take 10 years for the trees to reach full maturity, so it's a really long-term goal.
Right, thank you.
I just want to thank you, because I don't know if I explained to the audience how incredibly young you guys are. You're in your early 20s, right?
I'm 20. Yeah, we're both 23.
It's incredible. You have so much knowledge to because I guess, it's really from your own compelling story, from your experiences that you're able to do something about for yourselves, right?
Well, we had to relearn everything, So.
This is Risa who has a question, so you have to raise your voice.
Sure.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Just a quick question. I just recently tried to stay away from a lot of putting sugars in my coffee, teas, and everything like that. Is there any kind of sugar?
Maple syrup.
Well, when Kittle is in the state, obviously that would be the one to go for. But in the meantime, there are a couple of options that are definitely much better than normal sugar. I think the thing that I'd recommend the most would be coconut palm sugar. It's fairly similar to Kittle. It still will have a slight effect on your blood sugar levels. It's not as slow releasing. It doesn't have all of the same health benefits, or it doesn't have most of the same health benefits. But of the sugars, it's definitely the best in my opinion. And I'd pick that over anything like agave nectar.
Right.
I definitely pick coconut palm sugar over that. I know you guys are in the States are very, very big on agave because presumably because it's so easy for you guys to get it from Mexico or cheap. I don't know, but it's extremely high in fructose.
Oh,
And fructose is extremely difficult for your liver to really digest. So it's not a great thing to have. It doesn't affect your blood sugar levels, but it can really damage your liver. So coconut palm sugar is probably.
And the only other one that we do use sometimes, you can't actually buy it here in the UK. It hasn't been, it hasn't been allowed yet, so it's still illegal to actually sell it over here. But if you can get stevia, which is it is a type of herb essentially, but if you can get it in the form where it's a green powder or a green liquid, not the white crystals, then that's also very healthy to use. It's very, very sweet. It's like hundreds of times sweeter than sugar, so you don't need very much at all. And some people don't like the taste, so that's maybe why you'd go for the coconut palm sugar.
Gotcha.
But stevia doesn't have any effect on your blood sugar levels at all. So that's the best one to go for if you're trying to not affect blood sugar levels.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
What challenges do you foresee, if there is any, for younger generation, or actually in any generation or today facing in the future of the health, surrounding health?
There are huge challenges.
Yeah.
Give me some main, I know, I spoke to you about it, you were very passionate at listing out all the lists, but just give me the top two that you really
I'll try
are
and just read them.
think.
Firstly, we have this big problem that big business in the West seems to kind of control everything. So those are big food companies it's Monsanto, it's these big food companies, it's pharmaceutical companies. They control everything, or at least an awful lot. So what happens is that a lot of the food that is in the supermarkets and a lot of the food that we're encouraged to buy, to eat, we see it all in advertisements all the time, isn't really healthy at all. They don't have our best interests at heart. So it requires a totally new kind of re-education to realize that these foods, because we trust that what we can buy in a supermarket is not actually going to give us cancer, but we're so wrong, and it's a terrible shame, but that's kind of the reality that we're living in. So I think that's a huge challenge that we're facing. We're facing this fact that we've got to really do our own learning, because it's not being taught in school, it's not being taught by our politicians, it's certainly not being taught by our big companies, big corporations. So we've got to learn all of this stuff ourselves. I've come from a fairly healthy family where I was kind of forced to have salad at least once a day, every day. And even then, my diet has changed dramatically to be 10 times more healthy than it was. So the older generation is still further behind, and I think increasingly younger people are becoming a bit more aware. But I think, there's a lot of confusion a lot of the time because we have so much choice nowadays. There's a lot of confusion about what is healthy and what isn't healthy, and one person says one thing and one person says something different. So we're really, that's the biggest challenge that we're facing, an awful lot of confusion and an awful lot of change that we need to make kind of all at once.
Relating to what you said, do you foresee that there are opportunities and benefits to what actually is happening? Like you said, the big companies, big corporations are controlling, the distribution. So do you see that the opportunities and the benefit would be smaller retailers and people like you and Zoe and Olly are gathering up together and building your community and spread what you're doing, so to get people more conscious about their health? Do you see that spreading? Do you see that happening as an opening, as a opportunity and a good benefit to that?
Yeah,
happen?
I think we definitely see it spreading. I mean, we went to a talk by Brian Clement not that long ago. He's a famous alternative kind of doctor, and he runs the Hippocrates Health Institute, and he was saying that he really believes that we're getting very close to a tipping point of people who are eating healthier and are starting to really think about their lifestyles and think about what they're buying and what they're doing. So I think we definitely believe that it doesn't really help to be very pessimistic about the future. It's more helpful to try and think that it will change. And I think today all the climate marches today around the world is a good example. And things like Avars and all of these online websites are helping to get people, around the world talking about the same issues and actually taking action on the same issues together. So I think that's a very powerful way that people can actually start to take back a bit of control.
I think the only thing I'd add to that is that I think things are going to have to change. I think that's the kind of reality that we're facing. I think it'll come to a point where there's just no option but for us to really take back control and learn about what we're putting into our bodies, what we're doing to the environment, how we're treating other people around the world. Because maybe I'm a naive 23-year-old, but I don't see that the world can kind of continue in this fashion without something really dreadful, or a number of dreadful things, happening. So I think it's going to have to come.
Well, this is why you and Olly are so perfect for Choice of the Future, and this is what it's all about, participating in the shift of what is already very transparent, Great. Now, you do have, you are on Facebook, Wild Revolution, right? So
yeah.
I'll have everyone take a note of that and follow you on Facebook, and please, we don't need to tell you, but I'm sure you are doing far and beyond what you can possibly do, because I've met you and I know you're very driven and you're very focused. Again, your passion and believe that your passion in spreading the word for people to eat healthy so that they can have a healthier life and have more energy to do things. 2 questions, maybe I'll put, actually no, not 2 questions, but probably to Olly first and then to you, Zoe.
Sure.
Olly, if you were given a wish for the future, what would that be? In your field or anything you would like to say to that?
Yeah, I think my biggest part of the reason why the environmental thing is such a big part of Wild Revolution is Zoe, but it's also, that's mostly what I care about the most. So for me, my biggest wish would be that, you know, things were actually done about climate change, and it became, we, you know, stopped consuming so much and really thought about how we're going to solve the problem, really, and stop being selfish, essentially.
Zoe?
Your, so my, okay, 3. A wish or, yeah.
I wish.
A wish. I would wish that people, I think that people would become more connected. And I mean that in the sense of being connected to nature, connected to each other, and connected to themselves and who they are and what they're feeling. Because I feel like a lot of our issues in the world really stem from the fact that as humans we've become incredibly disconnected, and something that we've certainly found about eating a lot of raw food and eating a lot of vegetables and plants and all these kind of things is that actually it's changed the way that we've started to think about the world, which is interesting. We feel that much more connected, you know, and we make sure we get out every day and stand on the ground, or at least walk in nature, because it's those kind of things that make you appreciate who you are and your place in the world, and how incredible the world is that you live in, and that we have everything that we need already there, and we're just exploiting it, and we're turning it into food that is terrible for us, and we don't need to. There's a different way. And so I think my wish would be that people became more connected and could see real truth.
Thank you so much. See you again soon. Thank you.